Hit that bell icon so you guys can see what we're going to be doing to the engine and the turbo that I'm purchasing and everything like that, so you guys can stay up to date on this build, because you're not going to want to miss it. This is going to be a sick build. We're going to go drifting, we're going to go drag racing, we're going to do street stuff, you know, and this is going to be my daily driver. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Gotti's Garage. In last week's video, if you guys didn't catch it, we revamped this entire fuel system on this 2004 Silverado. We ran all new PTFE line from the fuel pump all the way up front, adding a flex fuel sensor in the middle, along with a 100 micron fuel filter, and as well as a 30 micron fuel filter right here, ending at the end. Now the goal of this Silverado is 600 wheel horsepower. It is going to be a turbo 5.3 stock bottom end engine. This is a build that any one of you can follow along and replicate and do exactly as I'm doing. And every single one of these videos, all the parts that I'm using, I will be adding down in the description below. So you just go ahead, hit the link, order them, and then you're all set.
Life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the fucking hours it takes to get some power. Don't be fucking sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and fuck all the doubters, they're just fucking downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm pissed off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
So in today's video, we gotta do some of the boring stuff. We have a brand new steering rack right here to replace this old one. By the way, off camera, I sprayed this whole engine bay down with oven cleaner, let it sit for 3 to 4 hours, and took it to the car wash and sprayed it off. Came out pretty nicely, but this is as far as we're gonna go cleaning it, because, I mean, this thing's a real gem. Don't forget, you can help the channel out by purchasing some merch on our website, www.gottisgarage1.com. Every single penny goes back towards the projects that we're doing. And these are 3 brand new, never before seen, pretty sick shirts that all of you are going to want to rock. So head on over to www.gottisgarage1.com, go to the merch section where you can find these 3 badass shirts. So yes, we're replacing this steering rack right here, as well as front calipers. We have brand new pads. I'm gonna try reusing these rotors. If the rotors are warped, I can't remember if they are or not, then we'll just replace the rotors as well. But we also have 50 feet of copper nickel brake line. I haven't determined yet if we are gonna actually replace all the brake lines. My objective is to delete the ABS module, because we're not gonna need that. I had the ABS fuse unplugged anyways, but I want to delete the ABS module, but I just don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to actually get all of that done in today's video, so we'll see how time goes. None of the brake lines leak and they're all working just fine, so that's what I'm saying. We can put that off until a later time. But as of right now, I just want to get the necessities done, which are going to be the calipers, the brake hose, and the rack and pinion, as well as the outer tie rods. And then we'll kind of do a rough estimate alignment, but it's definitely going to have to be brought into my work for, you know, an actual toe adjustment alignment. As you can tell, the engine is completely out of it, which makes the rack removal extremely easy. All we have to do is pop off that eye shaft, pop the tie rod, outer tie rods off, and then we can pull the rack completely out. But first, before we do that, we got to straighten these wheels, and then we got to lock the steering wheel, because you don't want that steering wheel to move. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and lift up the truck, put it on jack stands so we can pop the wheels off. First things first, we're gonna turn this wheel to the left all the way. Anyways, we're gonna crimp off the rubber hose right there. That way we can pull this off and not allow our brake fluid to completely leak out. All right, we got our Tiger grips on and we got our 11mm. So basically, just gonna pop this line off right here. Not lose any of the washers. All right, we can pop this thing kind of out of the way here. Now, on the back of this, you got two main bolts right here. They're 19s. See, it's seized. If it's warped, I can either cut this at work or just buy all brand new rotors. But with the speeds that we're gonna be going in this truck, slowing down very quickly and stuff like that, brakes aren't gonna last very long. My plan is to do the big brake upgrade, which is a 2019 and up. Big like Brembo style calipers. But in order to do that, we need wheels and all of that stuff. So that's gonna be later on down the road. So here's our brand new calipers. These are not reman, these are actually brand new. Nothing wrong with reman or anything like that, but brand new, you don't have to pay for the core. So Wagner brakes, very, very good brakes. And basically what we're gonna do now, we're gonna separate this caliper. So you have your bracket, you need the caliper itself. And basically, all we wanna do is just pull this bracket off. That way we can get the hardware on there. So pretty simple, just make sure it's all the way down on there. Which these are brand new, so you won't really have that issue. If these are old and you're reusing them, you're gonna have to clean them very well to get them to sit on there very good. All right, now we just gotta lube these up. So we have some Sil Glide, some pretty good, decent brake lubricant. Just go ahead, put a little bit on each one of these. This will stop the pads from seizing, because you want everything to be moving as they should. This is a floating caliper, so everything must float. Add a little bit more to the slide pins. So you don't want these seizing either, because just like I said, everything must float. Then we can go ahead and throw this back on and not touch the bottom to the ground, so we don't want dirt all over it. There we go. Now you're wondering about the pads. You'll see that here in a second. Let me change my gloves. All right, so when we're putting a new caliper on with caliper bolts, it is a very smart idea to use some blue Loctite on these. Blue's weak enough where you can still get it off, but strong enough so the bolt won't vibrate out or anything like that. Because the last thing you want to do is have one of your caliper bolts back out. So this is just some extra security. Just put a good healthy amount on there. And we can go ahead and bolt this bracket back up. Now that we have this off so it won't go anywhere, we're gonna go ahead and pull the bottom caliper bolt out of the bracket. That way we can flip this thing upwards, install the pads, flip it back down, bolt it back up, we're ready to go. So on these GM brakes, it is a T55 for the rear bolt. So these are kind of scary. Just make sure you don't strip it out or you are screwed. Pull this out, as you guys saw a little earlier. This is what we lubed up. Then we can go ahead and flip this up just like that, and we can install the pads on here. I got the wrong pads. Okay, good thing these pads aren't in bad shape, because I'm going to have to return these and order the correct ones, and I guess Amazon bit me. So the thing that you can do with old pads, if you want to reuse them, you want to resurface the pad. So if you see anything shiny or anything on it, that is no bueno. You want it to be like dull looking. So you can literally put it on the concrete and just rub it back and forth. All right, so pads are installed. Definitely not ideal. It's not what I had in mind. Me and Amazon. Yeah. We have these pads in. Now this is personal preference, but if you want like a quieter stop, you could add some brake lube onto the end of these. Because you gotta remember these are floating calipers, so all this stuff is gonna move around. So just adding a little bit of Sil Glide to the outer side of the pads will stop any grinding or any kind of metal on metal contact noise. Then we can lower this caliper, make sure the rubber grommet is in the right orientation. Then we can go ahead and install this. There we go. Now we got a free floating caliper like they're supposed to be. Also, I forgot to tell you guys, when you guys are putting on new calipers, make sure the bleeder is on top. We can go ahead and take our new bolt and washers and we can install this. Copper washers are smush washers, so make sure that it's just nice and tight. Perfect. This is controversial. You have some people who say you can't do this, some people you can do it. I do it. So what we're talking about here is bleeding your new caliper. So I do this all the time. I say 9.8 times out of 10, this all works. Basically what we're gonna do is called gravity bleeding. So as soon as we open this up, this is the highest point of the brake caliper, or this side of the brake system. So what we're gonna do is break this loose, unclamp this. Fluid is gonna start coming in here because there's air, so everything's gonna start moving. Come here, it's gonna start filling this up. Now, when the bubbles stop, and this is where it gets people because they don't know this part. When the bubbles stop and it's like a steady drip, you close it off, you go in there and you hit the brake pedal. That pushes the piston, the brake pistons all the way and closes it to operating where it's supposed to be at. And then you go ahead and you open that again to let it gravity bleed again. Because now that there is gonna be more space in here because the fluid is pushing everything in, it's gonna lower the fluid level. There's gonna be more air in there, so you wanna bleed it one more time and then you're good to go. There's no manual pumping the brakes and all of that stuff. Now you have to do that if the system is airlocked, but just pulling a caliper off is not gonna airlock the system, in most cases. All right, I don't see any more air bubbles coming out, so we're gonna go ahead and close this up. Tighten it down, and I'm gonna go inside the truck and I'm gonna push the brake pedal like 4 or 5 times just to make sure that this piston is all the way back. So we're gonna go ahead and open this one more time. And then you can see a bunch of air coming out. And there we go. It's completely bled. Good healthy spray of brake clean. Brake fluid is pretty bad for everything. And we're done with this side. All right, so brakes on this side done and bled. Brakes on this side done and bled. Pedal feels great. So now we're gonna work on the steering rack. So to lock the steering wheel, so I took a piece of wood right here, just kind of jammed it under the steering wheel, and that's locked. Next thing we're gonna do, since the engine is already out, whatever, normally you would just take the outer tie rods off first, but it's right here. So I'm gonna pull this little locking nut off. That way we can kind of pry this thing up and see how it works. I might spray it down first. All right, so we're not gonna lose that. Where should we set things so we won't lose them? Right here. There we go. That's off. Now let's go with the outer tie rods off. You take the pry bar, kind of push push the outer tie rod down. There we go, that worked. Won't come off. So just hit this knuckle right here. There we go. Both tie rods are off. Now we just gotta take these two bolts out. This one right here, this one right here, and there's a nut right here. So it's a giant through bolt. So we just gotta take those out. This rack will drop right out. All right guys, so we have the new rack in. The outer tie rods are not hooked up to the spindles quite yet. But I noticed when I put the rack on that where I took it off originally, so I locked the steering column. So the eye shaft was actually basically 180 from what the original rack was. And that can sometimes happen when you buy a cheaper rack. So basically what I had to do is grab a 15mm wrench and just clock it all the way to one side and then count the turns all the way. So wherever that half moon where the bolt slides into, wherever that lands up is one turn. You know what I mean. All right, so I counted 3, so I turned it into 1.5, and we were right there. Steering wheel was off a little bit, but right at exactly at 1.5, which means my steering wheel that my steering wheel was off a little, which it was when I drove it originally. So we got the steering wheel straight now with the rack. Everything's on there, bolted on. Now we can go ahead and put the outer tie rods on, and we can see exactly where the wheel is at. So I will show you guys that whole process. All right guys, everything is greased, tight, and done right. So now we can go ahead, I got the wheels already on, and we can flip this camera around so we can see which way the wheels are pointed, whether they're towed in or towed out, and then we can adjust it just by eyeball. So you can see the rear tire right over there. Pretty obvious this one is towed in. So we're gonna have to push that back out so that wheel is straight. And let's go ahead and check this side. See the rear tire. That one's not bad, but it's towed out just a little bit. All right, so this is what we got right now. This wheel looks very straight. And this wheel looks very straight as well. So like I said, this is not perfect. This is only temporary, just so we can roll it around with ease and all that stuff. Steering wheel is perfectly centered. So basically you want to center the steering wheel first, adjust your tie rods right here. So the jam nuts are all locked down, so they're not going to go anywhere. And that's exactly how it's going to be until we get it on the alignment rack. I'm gonna go ahead and just shake the front end down, basically by moving the tires back and forth, up and down. Make sure there's nothing else loose, because we want this truck as stable as possible at 150 miles an hour. After that, we're gonna start taking some stuff out of here. So we're not gonna need a lot of this. All right, we got the Silverado on the ground, and we're gonna be starting to pull some stuff out of the engine bay that we're not gonna need. Now, this isn't really a topic of this video, but we're pulling stuff out because the next Silverado video, we're actually going to be building the engine. I just want to get some things that we don't even use out of here. There's no point in having it while the engine's here and we're waiting anyways. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, hit that bell icon so you guys can see what we're going to be doing to the engine and the turbo that I'm purchasing and everything like that, so you guys can stay up to date on this build, because you're not going to want to miss it. This is going to be a sick build. We're gonna go drifting, we're gonna go drag racing, we're gonna do street stuff, and this is gonna be my daily driver during the summer. So yeah, stay tuned, but let's go ahead and talk about what we're gonna pull out. So first things first, we're gonna be pulling out this vacuum pump right here, because a vacuum pump is no longer gonna be needed. As I said in the last video, this PCM, it's a P59 PCM. This PCM is out of an 03 GMC Sierra, and that, this is a 2004 Chevy Silverado, so it's out of that because we actually bricked the old PCM that was in here on accident by trying to figure out a tune. Find out that the fuse box was actually bad. So we did a lot of stupid things to try to get it working or whatever, and it ended up bricking it. So we had to put a PCM from my other truck, which is no longer a truck anymore probably. But yeah, that's where that's from. So the GMC did not have the vacuum pump on here, so it doesn't even recognize it, doesn't even turn it on, doesn't even use it. So we're gonna pull that thing out because it is not needed. And then we're gonna be pulling the AC, all the AC lines and everything like that out, because we're not gonna need that as well, because we're gonna have a big turbo over here. And then this is the cold air intake box. So we're gonna be pulling this out too, because again, we're not gonna need it. So I might tidy up some stuff in here just a little bit. I have had some thoughts of getting like an aluminum coolant reservoir and moving this fuse box back into the back corner, kind of just like cleaning up this engine bay a lot. But I don't really think I'm gonna do that. I want it to look decent in here, nice, but the whole goal of the truck is to be a sleeper. So we'll see what I do. Oh, I had to drag this engine all the way over here between like 3 different cars. It sucked. But anyways, we got that thing off. I also took the filter off of the catch can right here because it was just one giant vacuum leak. So we're just gonna get a rubber cap that goes on that, hose clamp it on. That way that's completely sealed. I took this battery tray out too, just in case. I don't know how the intercooler piping is gonna go. So I took it off. It was, it was 2 bolts left. So took that off, got that little cold air intake thing off. Got all the AC stuff off. I think I'm gonna try 3D printing something like a cover for that, so it doesn't just, look like that. I mean, I don't know why I'm trying to pretty this up so much. I mean, look at it. But next week we start the build process. Say hi, Serena. Hi. So next week we start tearing into the engine, putting the new cam in, some new gaskets and all that stuff. The Trailblazer SS intake, and we're gonna get a throttle body for it as well. But that will all be the next video on 2004 boosted Silverado. So hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on the next one. And we'll see you guys in the next one.